tying super buggers today. Going with a green. So I'm tying on a size 4 1710 hook. I'm not gonna butcher that. And I'm gonna be tying on a brown thread. Let's start with a couple wraps for a base. It's my friend Spooky here. He wants to get in on the action. He thinks that the flies are toys for him, and gets mad when I tell him no. And after after my couple wraps, I tie little lead weights that look like eyes up to the front. Get them nice and secured. Come on, buddy. Please. I know you want to play with the... Come on. Come on. Oh, come on. I just check to make sure that I get them on level. I'm sure there's better ways to do all of this. I'm still kind of learning myself, so if anyone has any advice, please feel free to help. And after I got those secure, I just make loose wraps all the way to the back of the fly, and I'll put on some Sally Hansen nail hardener to just really lock that down into place and kind of protect it. I use these to fish for smallmouth in the Midwest. These things can get kind of tore up over time, so I find that this kind of protects it a little bit, keeps things together. After that, I'm going to tie on a piece of marabou for the tail. What I like to do is all the little wispies, the ends, I like to trim those off. It kind of gives it a more fluffy, less stringy look. Probably doesn't really make a difference to the fish, but I like to do it, so you guys get to watch. And then I just kind of loosely measure about the length of the fly. That's how long I'll make the tail hang off the back. Again, I'm not going to tell you how to do it. This is just how I like to do it. Again, by no means am I the most proficient with fly tying. I'm all self-taught. I really have no clue what I'm doing, but I catch fish on them. So that's all that matters, right? And I kind of just go back and forth, securing that marabou down. And bring it back to the rear. And then I'll tie in a couple strands of Crystal Flash. Kind of whatever colors you want. I like the green. Piece of Crystal Flash doesn't really want to cooperate with me right now. We're just going to yank that one all the way through, I think. Once I have the pieces, I kind of try to line them up the best I can. It doesn't necessarily matter because it ends up getting cut anyways. And we're going to tie it onto the back of the fly to just give it a little bit of color. Secure them in. Then all I do is get them roughly about the length that I want them. And just cut them. Cut them to length. I usually keep them about the same length as the tail, maybe a little bit longer. No right or wrong. Or maybe there is, I don't know. I don't care. And then I got some Grizzly soft hackle. I'm going to be tying in olive. I'm going to start from the ass end of the hackle and just tie that in, secure it so it doesn't fall out, and I bring my line to the front, and then I give this a bunch of wraps around the hook, just trying to keep it somewhat organized and comb it back as I progress up the fly. Again, doesn't necessarily matter too much because it should be fluffy. I tie that in while kind of sweeping some of that back. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It gets in the water and you start pulling it, it combs it back. And I'm gonna look for a small grizzly hackle to put on because I don't have much more length on that hook shank. I'm going to do the same process, just tie it in from the ass end of the hackle and just drape my line over the lead eyes just to kind of hold it out of the way while giving it some wraps. Try to bring out the feather so it remains fluffy. So that's secured. I'm going to give it a couple more wraps to really tie it down. Kind of clean this up a bit. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. And then from here, thought I had some out. I'm going to tie a couple of Grizzly Micro rubber legs in. Again, you could choose whatever color. I'm using color Smoke, just gray with black bars. Use whatever you want. And I'm going to do the same thing I kind of did with the Crystal Flash. I kind of pick the middle. I'm going to tie it in towards the facing the rear. Again, doesn't have to be perfect, just do the best you can. Just tie it in, secure it, kind of sweep it back. And then again, I kind of try to measure, and I like to try to keep it, again, the same rough length as the rest of the fly. You know, it could be a little bit longer or shorter depending on how you like it. And then from here, this one you don't need, but I like to do it. I tie in a piece of red hackle. I feel like, especially with the bass, you know, it kind of looks like a little bit, maybe like bloody gills on a fish. It just gives them something else to kind of aim at. I could be completely wrong, but I like doing it, so I do it. And I just kind of trim it up, make it look somewhat pretty, and give it a little butt to tie into. And secure that in. And we're going to do the same thing, just preening it around, pulling it back, trying to keep it organized the best we can. secure this in. While brushing it back with my fingers, I try to tie it down to kind of sweep it back a little bit. And that way when it's in the water, you know, they're not sticking up all crazy looking wonky to the fish. And then I kind of tidy it up with my scissors. Before giving it a handful more wraps. And then from here, I'm going to put on some ice dub. I'm using olive brown. You really don't need a lot. This stuff goes a long way. And something that I didn't know when I first started using it, when you put it on the line, move your fingers only in one direction, because it'll come off. And kind of spread it out, up and down the line. And sometimes wetting your finger helps. And then we're just going to start wrapping, building up a head for this fly. You know, again, you could go as big or small as you want. This is just how I like to do it. If anyone has any tips or pointers, you know, please let me know. Like I said, I'm still learning. I'm going to start building some of this dub up around the eyes. Again, just building the head out on it. You know, try to make it look a little bit more realistic for the fish. We're a pretty good size. I'm going to give it a couple wraps and then I'm going to whip finish here. cut my line. And then what I like to do is I'll kind of comb this out a little bit to kind of make it look a little bit fluffier. Just gives it a better look, and fills in those gaps that you potentially might have missed. And then from here, I'll finish up with a little bit of that Sally Hansen nail hardener around my my knot. Again, the bass really tear these things up, so this stuff definitely does a really good job of holding the line together and keeping these things in the water longer. And there you have it. Super Bugger in green.